There's no two ways about it. AEW is basically putting a pay-per-view on free television on a random Wednesday and calling it not only the biggest Dynamite ever, but the biggest thing that All Elite Wrestling has ever done. As you can see, it has infected me, and now you can call me Mr. Pumped. But yeah, given that All Elite Wrestling has decided to treat Winter is Coming as this big super duper oh my gosh event, I thought we should treat it in the same fashion and use our brains and try and predict what's going to happen. Because it's not just the big AEW World title match between Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. You've got a hell of a lot more. Let me show you. You know what I'm talking about. First up, we are going to get Chris Jericho versus Frankie Kazarian in a how do these guys keep defying their age match. That's not the stipulation, I just made that up. But do not forget that Chris Jericho is 50 and Kazarian is 43. How the hell do they still move and go like they go? If I got in there now, and I happen to be younger, in case you care, I'd be walking around with a stick. They flying around like damn butterflies. I mean, it is ridiculous. And given that we do have a whole build around this in the sense that the Inner Circle are bigger and more badass than ever, and the SCU are trying to find their feet once more, well, it's quite a nice little tamale. And you've got to imagine that MJF, Maxwell, Jacob Friedman will probably get involved again, because you've got to build this slow program to where I assume he turns on Chris Jericho, takes over the Inner Circle, and then we go, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Even though deep down you would believe it, but it would still make for good television. Also, as much as I like Christopher Daniels and Kazarian and Scorpio Sky, they're not really the focus right now, so they don't need to win. And what you really need to do is you need to make Jericho's faction even higher than it was before with the inclusion of Wardlow and MJF until you then implode it and do all the things that I just said. So Chris Jericho should win here, and look, you can have any single member of the Inner Circle cheat. That's what they do every week anyway. After that though, I am intrigued, because are we going to do the Jericho versus MJF feud at Revolution? That's only a couple of months away, and usually AEW takes their time with this. So given how big Winter is Coming is, I think you should keep your eye on this. There may be a little few tidbits and a little few clues that will give us an example of what the future holds. Dr. Britt Baker will also be here, and she is going to take on Leyla Hirsch. And if you have watched the majority of AEW programming, you know she is very good, has all the upside in the world, which is why this absolutely should not be a squash match. I suppose the only issue you do have here is that Britt Baker is on a tear and she's one of the biggest heels in the company, and you don't really want to have her lose. Unless, of course, we're actually going to carry on with this feud that she started a few weeks ago with Thunder Rosa. Maybe she does the classic distraction finish and Leyla Hirsch actually gets to win. Because in terms of Dynamite, she hasn't had many of those, but she does have this following. Like, go on any kind of internet forum and search for her name, she getting a lot of love. And I do have an outsider prediction for this, and I'll tell you about it in just 1 second because it ties into our main event. Maybe this match doesn't actually happen at all. We're also going to get Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin teaming up to take on Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. And after everything we did last week with Taz and Cody, my word, this feels bigger than my stupid round bald head. I am utterly invested. Plug me in. Taz feels right back on top of his game, sponsored by the color orange. And the interesting part is, although you could probably argue that Cody and Darby Allin are the biggest stars, I think you gotta give the victory to Team Taz, because they are just ripping it up right now, and this is not the time for them to lose. You also want to make sure that Wheel's heel turn actually means something. There is nothing worse than when a guy does turn into this bad evil dude, and then he just loses straight away because you're like, well, that was stupid. You picked the dark side and it didn't work out at all. I don't want to get into Shinsuke Nakamura and him just punching AJ Styles in the dick over and over again, but never winning the championship, because I always do it, and damn it, I've done it again. It's not like Cody and Darby are best buds either. Cody's even said at one point he wants to go back to that program and try and win back his TNT title. He's still going to be a little bit sour about this, so maybe there's some disintegration into the ranks there, but not on Team Taz. He has allied his troops, and they're happy and they're smiling. When they do promos, they set themselves out in a little triangle, and Ricky Starks does all the talking. This group has gone from being like, well, they're okay, to being flipping top-tier badasses. In case you didn't pick up on that though, yes, I think Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs should win, and really Powerhouse, greatest name ever, should pin Darby Allin and screw it, throw him into a TNT title feud. I know, Simon, they should wait, they probably should, but I want it now because they're an impatient child. We're also going to get the Diamond Battle Royal, and apparently these are the people that are going to be in it. Hangman Adam Page, that's interesting, Alex Ryan Reynolds, Long John Silver, Sammy Guevara, Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, Mark Quinn, Matt Sydal, Scorpio Sky, Sean Spears, Orange Cassidy, Kip Sabian, Miro, Wardlow, and of course the current owner, MJF. Now, before I saw that lineup, I had actually picked Maxwell Jacob Friedman to win. I just think it's so easy to be a massive dick if you go, not only did I win it once, and I won it twice. And I don't know if MJF has to give it back, but if not, he'd have 2 of the damn things, and that is just going to make you hate him even more. But now I do know I have a couple of other ideas. One, if Hangman Adam Page is going to win with assistance by the Dark Order, well then boo howdy, you've just tied it into that narrative. And Matt Hardy has spent the last few weeks going, hey man, without me professional wrestling wouldn't even be professional wrestling. So if he won this, well what a great way to kickstart that persona. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if Miro won it. He could probably do with something other. Sammy Guevara, he's always on the up and up. And you have Orange Cassidy, and who doesn't like it when he wins? So this does actually make it very intriguing. But I prefer my original idea, so I'm going to say that Hangman Adam Page finally gets a victory, and because he was assisted by this cult, he finally starts to feel warm and fuzzy in his tum-tum, and he goes, guys, I'm happy to be with you. And then someone's going to have to go and flipping save him. Hopefully, not the bottom of a beer bowl. Which does bring us to our main event, Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship, and I still can't believe this is on free television. It feels like, well, I'd call it a WrestleMania main event, but you know what I'm talking about. And while I did just describe it as a main event, is it actually going to be the main event? What I mean by that is I'm going to assume this has a 60-minute time limit. Most AEW World title matches do, but that means you have to put it at the top of the second hour. I don't think you're going to squeeze everything we just talked about into the first hour. So do we have like a situation where you need to put it at the top of the second hour so you don't know whether it's going to be a draw or not, which it could do, but then if it doesn't go a draw, you get the other matches, such as the Britt Baker one. So if it does go that long, those matches actually get kicked off the card. It's a really hard one to call because of course we're so used to seeing title opportunities on pay-per-views and no one actually knows how long a pay-per-view is going to go. How many times have you sat down to watch a WWE Network pay-per-view and it pops up after the fact only 3 hours and you go, thank flub for that. I thought it was going to be 92. Because the last thing I'd want AEW to do is to put it on with 20 minutes of Dynamite to go, because then I know it can't go 60 minutes, and that's going to confuse my brain. Unless TNT have gone, hey man, you can have as long as you want, but I doubt that's the case. Also, when it comes to predicting a winner, flip it out. You can pick whatever the hell you want. If you keep it on Jon Moxley, you can rematch them at Revolution. If you put it on Kenny Omega, you can rematch them at Revolution. And if you do a draw, can you believe it? You could redo it at Revolution. Of course, the ace in the hole here, if that even makes sense, is that Jon Moxley got attacked on Dynamite a few weeks ago and he was left laying. So if Kenny Omega does win the World Championship and then Moxley finds out who did attack him, he can even say, look Ken, I'll come for you later, but first I gotta deal with this asshole, and it justifies the fact he's not going back after his belt. And for that reason alone, and also the fact I think it's time to give Kenny Omega the damn thing, he's clearly our project for 2021, he should go into the new year with a brand new champion, and his name should be Kenny Omega. I do want to say this, I think this match is going to be absolute fire, just because here I am a couple of days beforehand, and I'm already excited. Isn't it fun to be a wrestling nerd? I say, yes. And hopefully you're all wrestling nerds too, so I want to get your asses down in those comments and let me know who do you think is going to win, especially when it does come to Omega versus Moxley. They could do about 72,000 different things here, and as a fan, I think I'd enjoy them all. We've got to chalk that up to a success. Then like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, head over to WhatCulture.com where you can read yourself some articles, follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and watch more videos here. And WhatCulture Wrestling, including ups and downs, for winter is coming. It will go live on Thursday. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you very much for joining me. And look, make sure you enjoy this. It's one of those rare things that we get. It's one of these cool events in the middle of nowhere. It's why I love this brand new wrestling war. You just get drowned in awesome wrestling content, and that's all I ever need in my life. And oxygen, and money to buy food, and so I can drink water. Give me that, give me wrestling, and a bunch of other stuff I secretly need because I'm a stupid. You take my point, I'll see you soon.